for subscribing to the channel. I post 2 times a week, on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I recommend using headphones if you would like to hear the gentle mic brushing. Now, for today's case, I consulted a very long list of ideas that were provided to me by you guys on the community tab. I had asked for case suggestions and I got a whole bunch. So this case seemed to have gotten the most attention, meaning like the most thumbs up. So I assumed that a lot of people would be interested in this one. So this is the first one I am doing from that list. And I will consult it again and do a bunch more, but obviously I'm not going to get to all of them. So if you go take a look at the list and you're interested in anything that someone else suggested, then please give it a thumbs up so that I know. Okay, so tonight we are traveling to England. Shout out to all my friends in England. This is the 2007 case of the disappearance of Andrew Gosden. So let's get right to some background information. Andrew Gosden was born on July 10th, 1993, and he grew up in Balby, which is a suburb of Doncaster, England. His parents were Kevin and Glenys Gosden. Both of them worked, or maybe they still do work, as speech therapists. And he has a sister, an older sister by 2 years, named Charlotte. Andrew is deaf in his left ear, and he struggles to locate the direction of sounds, like he's not sure where the sounds are coming from. So that's his left ear, but his right ear has a very distinctive double ridge. Like, I believe it's rare. I'll put in a picture so you know exactly what I'm talking about. He also has poor vision and requires strong prescription glasses. Now, his parents are Anglican Christians, but they opted not to baptize either of their children because they wanted them to decide for themselves what they wanted to be ultimately. And as Andrew approached his teen years, he seemed to be leaning more towards the side of atheism. And his father believes that Andrew stopped going to church because his sister Charlotte had stopped. It seemed like, from what I've read, that he emulated a lot of what he saw in her. I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying, he saw his older sister doing certain things or liking certain things, and he did the same. Now, his parents always encouraged both he and his sister to explore their own interests and discover new things on their own. He had joined the Cub Scouts, but he grew bored of it and he dropped out around age 14. He also grew to love rock and metal bands, and he was into the goth scene. Now, his sister was the same in this regard. They liked the same music, such as Slipknot, Marilyn Manson, and was in his school's gifted program, which only accepts the top 5% of students. He had straight A's and he had not missed a single day. He had perfect attendance. And he was said to be a, quote, prize-winning mathematician, end quote. And his teachers all assumed that he would wind up going to Cambridge University. According to his parents, he did have friends, and he was not being bullied. But he was introverted, and he really liked to be by himself. He spent most of his free time at home playing video games. And now he never connected his video games to the internet at any point. His parents said that he didn't show any signs of depression. And whenever he left home, he would always tell them where he was going. He would never just disappear. On the morning of September 14th, 2007, Andrew had a bit of difficulty waking up that morning to go to school. And his mother said he was a bit irritable, and this was unusual because normally he would get right up, no problems whatsoever in the morning. But anyway, he left for school, or he left heading to the bus stop, the school bus stop, and both of his parents left to go to work. When his parents got home from work that afternoon, they didn't see him, but they assumed that he was in the basement playing video games, and they went about their usual evening routine, and they even had dinner. But then at some point they realized that he was not in the basement. They noticed his school uniform laying on a chair in his bedroom, so it seemed that he must have come home, changed his clothes, and then went out. And they thought he must have gone to a friend's house. So they started calling around, and he wasn't with any of his friends, and his friends told his parents that Andrew hadn't been in school that day at all. So they contacted the school, and they found out, that's right, he hadn't showed up at all. And the school thought that they had called Andrew's parents to tell them that he wasn't there. But they had actually called somebody else and left a message. Like there was a list. And they accidentally called the phone number of the parents either above Andrew's name or below it. So that was really unfortunate. So at 7 o'clock, they called the police to report him missing. And according to Charlotte, Andrew's sister, they were in a huge panic, as you can understand. They searched Andrew's route to school and the areas nearby, but they found nothing. By 10 p.m. that night, a missing persons leaflet had been printed so that they could pass it around and post it all over town. Family and friends searched the area until it got dark. The police searched, but they found nothing. Now, when his bedroom was searched, it was found that all he had taken with him, the only things that were missing, were his wallet, his keys, the house keys, and his PlayStation Portable. It's like a little handheld video game system. He hadn't taken the charger for it, which people believe means that he must have been planning to come back, because if not, how was he going to charge his little PlayStation? He didn't take his passport. He didn't take a sweatshirt or a jacket. You know, it was September, so it could have been pretty warm, but witness was found who had seen Andrew the morning that he disappeared. He saw Andrew walk past the bus stop and not get on any bus. Instead, he headed to an ATM down the street where he withdrew £200 in cash, which was almost all the money in his account. He had 214, but the ATM only lets you take out increments of 20. So footage was captured on a neighbor's CCTV system, a neighbor of Andrew's. So that system saw Andrew returning to his house right after he went to the ATM. So obviously what happened was he went in, took off his uniform, and he placed it in the wash. Then he put his blazer on the back of his chair. He changed into a black Slipknot t-shirt. That was one of his favorite bands. He put on some black jeans, and he left the house carrying a bag that was covered with various patches from his favorite rock and metal groups. From there, he went to the local train station, which was Doncaster, and he bought a one-way ticket from Doncaster to London for about £31. The clerk suggested that he get the round trip. It would only be 50p more, but he refused it. He didn't want a return ticket. At 9:35 a.m., he was seen boarding the train going to King's Cross Station alone. King's Cross Station is in London. That's where he was headed. A woman reported sitting next to him on the train, and she said he was very quiet and just sat and played his video game. Right away, Andrew's parents headed to London to pass out the missing persons flyers in any areas that it seemed like Andrew might have gone. Now, you probably know London is not some tiny little city, and trying to find a 14-year-old boy in London is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But they were trying everything they could. Now, weeks after he went missing, the police went to look at the CCTV footage from the King's Cross Station in London. I don't know why they waited, but they did. And the footage showed that he had arrived at the station on the day he went missing at 11:20 a.m. and he was seen alone leaving the station. And that's where the trail ends. They were unable to track his movements any further than that point. Now, the family and the police investigated the possibility that Andrew had gone to London to meet somebody that he knew from the internet. But it seemed very unlikely that that is what happened, because he pretty much had zero access to the internet, believe it or not. I mean, this was 2007, so it's a while ago. And like I said, his video games were not connected to the internet. He didn't have a computer at home. He didn't have an email address. They even reached out to Sony, the makers of the PlayStation, to see if there was any signs of him ever connecting that device, and he hadn't. The police looked at the computers at his school and the local library to see if he had an account on those computers, and he didn't. He didn't have a cell phone. He had a few in the past, but he had lost them. Now, his sister had a laptop. She was the owner of the only computer in the house, but she had just gotten it 8 weeks before he went missing. some reported sightings of Andrew that seemed plausible, like one at a Pizza Hut and one at Covent Garden, and his family feels that the police did not follow up on these enough. And there, of course, were many sightings of Andrew over the years, but none of them ever led to anything. In November of 2009, when Andrew had been missing for over 2 years, his father reached out to the gay community to help find Andrew. They considered the possibility that maybe he was struggling with his sexual orientation and that led him to run away. They didn't really have anything much to go on. Like, they didn't really have a feeling that that was what it was, but they knew that it could be possible, so let's check every avenue, you know? His father, Kevin, said, quote, "We are a pretty open family, so have wondered if he was gay or struggling with his sexual identity and found it too awkward to raise. If he is gay, we do not have any issue with it. He is loved unconditionally by both my wife and I and his sister," end quote. But still, nobody found him. In May of 2011, his family paid a private company to do a sonar search of the River Thames using the same technology that is used to locate victims and objects at sea. He was not found, although supposedly another body was found, and I didn't look into that. Now, through the years, his family has never stopped looking. They have made age-progressed images. He's been on billboards and in advertisements. They created a website dedicated to finding him, and he has become one of the most famous missing people out there because of all this effort. But still, his family is no closer to finding him than they were on day one. Now, here are some popular theories. One theory is that he might have traveled to London to attend a 30 Seconds to Mars concert that was scheduled for the evening when he disappeared. Somebody found a photo of the crowd at the concert, and they believe that he looks like one of the people in the crowd. I've looked at the photo, and it just looks like a blurry kid with glasses. It doesn't really mean anything to me, but it's possible. There was another metal group playing called SIKTH, and maybe he came in to see that show. And there was also a metal band called Him that was going to be in London to do a signing around the same time when he disappeared. Could he have been heading in for that? His father suggested that, quote, "It might sound ridiculous, but Andrew, being stupidly intelligent, the only thing he actually even referred to about London before he went missing was the fact that they were having a Tutankhamun, which is King Tut, exhibition at the British Museum. He was interested," end quote. So all of these ideas suggest that he went in for something that he was interested in, and then something happened to him along the way or after he did what he wanted to do. Another theory is that he may have gone in to London to hand out resumes on the street called the Strand. It's a major street in London because his sister Charlotte had done that when she was 14. So he had snuck out investigation for Andrew is still open and active. Now, in response to this situation, Andrew's parents said the following, quote, "The past months of this investigation have been a period of additional difficulty for our family, intensifying our sense of living in limbo, not knowing what happened to our much-loved son. As a family, our emotional reaction is to feel that, after so much effort over the past 16 years, we remain no closer to discovering what has happened to Andrew," end quote. As of today, Andrew would be 31 years old. He is still missing, and the search continues. I will leave information in the description box if you have any information that might help the case. And that is the case. What are your thoughts? I will share some of mine. First of all, my heart goes out to Andrew Gosden. I don't know if he's alive or not. I don't know what happened to him. I hope that he is okay and will be found very, very soon. But I don't feel all that optimistic, unfortunately. It has been 17 years since he went missing. And of course, I feel horribly for his family. They are going through something unthinkable. Their son disappeared without a trace, and they have no closure. They've been sitting in limbo all this time, hoping that they will find him. So what do I think happened? I have to say that I am pretty clueless. This is one of those cases where there is so little information. Do I think that he went to go to a concert or a museum or something like that? I don't feel like he would have done that on his own. Like, he didn't just decide, I'm gonna go by myself to London to see a concert or go to a museum. I'm gonna go take out all my money. I'm gonna get a one-way ticket. I'm gonna miss school when I have perfect attendance and just go in to see a concert. I don't buy that. I mean, not on his own, at least, you know? Like, none of the ideas about him going into London to do something like pass out resumes or, you know, go to an exhibit or anything like that, I don't buy it, because it just makes no sense to me. I don't think any of those activities would be important enough for him to do something so out of character. And clearly, when he woke up that morning, he was having trouble getting up. He was irritable. Seems like he wasn't really sure if he wanted to do what he was about to do that day. And I can't help but say, why didn't he buy a return ticket? That just doesn't make any sense. If he was going to do something specific, he would have needed a return ticket. And it was only another 50 pence, I believe that's what P stands for, so it's not much to get the return ticket. So, that's, could scratch that off the list for sure. Now, could he have been groomed? Well, by who is the question. He had no connection to the internet. Could it be somebody local, somebody that he had met in person, maybe when he was at the park, or, who knows, met somebody who had been grooming him and said, hey, let's, go to London and see a concert. Okay, but then why wouldn't that groomer escort him to London? Why would he be heading there by himself if this person was local? I'm thinking, wouldn't they have picked him up or rode with him on the train or met him at the station, something like that. So I'm saying it must not have been a local person. But how would he meet anyone who wasn't local if he didn't have the internet? Well, people are talking about a summer camp that he went to in 2006. Okay, so not the summer right before he went missing, but the summer before that. He went to a talented and gifted summer camp, like it was a sleepaway camp. And here is what his father said about that. Quote, he tended to say little about school, but we remember him coming back from summer school